is Steve Park. I'm the Executive Director of Little Lights Urban Ministries in Washington, D.C. And I'm going to be talking to you about Reimagine and reimagining both CCDA as well as the organization that I work at here in Washington, D.C. You know, so much has changed in our society, in our world since the founding of CCDA. And I've learned so much from the wisdom of those who founded CCDA and all those practitioners that I learned from by attending the conferences and other learning from CCDA. But we have to keep reimagining what our ministries look like in our communities, as well as CCDA as a whole. You know, one thing for me about reimagining CCDA and our organization is how do we better embody racial justice in our context and at CCDA? And I really believe we need to continue to learn about the history of systemic racism in our country that really helped to create this racialized poverty in our nation. For a lot of us, the communities we serve are often have the needs that they do because of the result of systemic oppression and injustice. And so we must keep learning this history to better understand the larger context that we're serving in and where, you know, the people we serve are growing up in. And not only that, because we're Christian organizations, you know, many of the Christian institutions that we were shaped by personally or we partner with in the ministry that we do have been influenced by ideas of white supremacy or racial hierarchy. And, you know, these influences can also affect theology as well. And that impacts the way we see the world, the way we see the people we serve, as well as the way we see God. And so we need to learn how to deconstruct harmful elements of this theology and rebuild a better and more just and holistic theology that integrate our work of justice as well as mercy. And for me, as a Korean American and as Asian American Christians, you know, this has been a hard season. And one thing I reimagine in CCDA is, you know, how can we have race conversations and racial justice conversations that go beyond the black-white binary and include Asian American, Hispanic, and Latinx Americans and other groups into the dialogue surrounding race in America, that we can all work together, we can all have these conversations and really unite to dismantle systemic racism and the stronghold of white supremacy together. I really believe CCDA organizations occupy a unique place in the body of Christ in many of our cities and towns and even rural areas, that we can be a prophetic voice in our communities and to the church. And we have to take that responsibility very seriously. You know, for me at Little Lights, part of reimagining our work has been I created a 11-week anti-racism class back in 2016 called Race Literacy 101. And since 2016, more than 800 people have gone through the class and have had really meaningful and honest conversations about race, as well as learning the history of race as a social construct and how race has been used to create racialized poverty and other forms of oppression. And you know, it's this kind of learning that almost none of us got at school. And it really makes significant and meaningful conversations about race possible when we don't have a certain level of historical understanding of how we got to where we are. And so this has been a big part of reimagining our work at Little Lights. Also, you know, we've all had to pivot very dramatically after the start of the pandemic. And so for me, reimagining the work that we do has included like shifting technology and using the new technology to provide additional resources for our students and families, like virtual tutoring and virtual mentoring. We've had to change the way we do things. And I really believe that this new infrastructure that has been created, this technological infrastructure that has been created as a result and response to the pandemic, is something CCDA organizations can utilize to bring in more resources to our communities. And so for us, we've recently started a college and career readiness program for our high school students. That's really a wraparound program and bringing in human resources and volunteers and support virtually, and even being able to have parent-teacher conferences and attend those virtually has really made a big difference in improving the outcomes for our students. So I really see the reimagining of our work, including this new technology infrastructure, even beyond the pandemic. The world has changed so much even in just the past year. And at CCDA, let's keep reimagining how we can come together to bring greater shalom into our communities and into our world. Thank you.